Like is very important. YouTube has been reducing our reach, and that's been hurting us and making us very sad. Please leave a like so we can try to keep our channel active. I'd be happy if you could help. And let's move on to the next one.
After many years after the power tournament, our friends would increase their powers to colossal scales. Goku and the others would become very strong. But not everyone would necessarily follow the path of martial arts. Piccolo, being a long-lived person, would remain as Dende's guide by his side, guiding him with his wisdom, but also protecting him from possible threats. Vegeta would become Beast's disciple, to be precisely God of Destruction, while Goku would occupy a slightly more important position. He would be in charge of a divine division. As a result of the creation of timelines, problems that should be solved by Goku and the others would arise. Goku was the guardian of time and space, protector of the timelines, with the responsibility that beings did not travel from one line to the other without authorization. In addition, he had to foresee the creation of new timelines. With him acted Kronoa, the Kaioshin of time. One day, Goku traveled to Universe 7 while receiving Kronoa's call. "Goku, I need you here urgently," Kronoa would say. "Is it an emergency?" Goku would ask. "Yes, it seems that someone is about to create a new timeline," Kronoa would say. "I'll be right there," Goku would say. Goku with the teleportation would reach the Time Palace, the sacred place where all the guardians of time and space met. "Very well, tell me what happens," Goku would say. "A guy named Babidi is about to travel to the past and look for a previous version of Majin Buu," Kronoa would say. "For what?" Goku would say. "I don't know," Kronoa would say. "It's not like we care. The idea is to avoid change. I mean that Babidi woke up Majin Buu in his time, but he couldn't control him and he killed him," Goku would say. "I think it's stupid." "I know, but we don't have time to think. We have to go back to his time and avoid that time changes," Kronoa would say. "Okay," Goku would say. Goku wore a bracelet that allowed him to travel in time. He would place the necessary coordinates and make the trip. That way, he would go to 4,000 years in the past. He would meet Babidi at the point where Majin Buu was hidden. "Very well, I just have to take this to another place to wake him up more efficiently," Babidi would say. "I'm sorry, but I can't allow that," Goku would say. "Hey, who are you?" Babidi would say. "I've never seen you in my life." "My name is Goku, and I am the guardian of space-time," Goku would say. "Goku?" Babidi would say, confused since for some reason, from where he came from, he didn't know Goku. "Guardian of space-time? I guess you didn't even know that existed," Goku would say. "Great Nuja! I won't let you get away with it," Babidi would say. Babidi would point to Goku to try to control him. His intention was to use evil within his body to become his slave. But it wouldn't be effective since nothing would happen to Goku. "I don't understand," Babidi would say. "I don't have evil inside me, so those tricks won't work on you," Goku would say, laughing. Goku would hit him in the neck with the edge of his hand, and he would remain unconscious. Then, with his bracelet, he would return to the Palace of Time. "Very well, here it is," Goku would say when he threw Babidi to the ground. "We have to find out how he traveled in time and return him to his time," Kronoa would say. "I still think it's best to kill him. Goku would say. Even if he erases his memories of the subject, he will have the intention. If we kill him, we will create an alternate reality. Remember that events have to happen as you lived them, Cronoa would say. Babidi would wake up. He didn't understand what was happening. Heavens, my neck hurts, Babidi would say. Did someone steal me? What happened? Meanwhile, Goku would return to the Time Palace, showing Cronoa the books. Here is the material he used as a study. I don't know if he used any artifact, but I couldn't stay any longer, Goku would say. Wow, I didn't think that kind of manuscripts existed, Cronoa would say. Cronoa would take the books to a bonfire with blue fire. There, these would catch fire instantly, disappearing completely. Well, thanks for everything, Cronoa would say. While Cronoa would say that, Cronoa would feel another distortion in time. Oh, come on, Cronoa would say. Don't tell me another distortion, Goku would say. It seems that we're in season, Cronoa would say. Cronoa would invoke a crystal ball where Bulma should be working on the time machine. It's Bulma, but we agree that in that case we leave it so that everything stays the same, Goku would say. Cool, please let me know, Goku would say. By the way, Goku, pay attention.
That Bulma is from a time after the Tournament of Power, Cronoa would say. I don't understand. I don't remember him doing that, Goku would say. It's not that simple. What he did, didn't do, or can do depends on many factors. He didn't do it until he did it, Cronoa would say. What? Goku would say. He never did what he was going to do because surely someone prevented him. That's why he's about to do what he shouldn't do. What? Goku would say. Look, leave it like that, Cronoa would say, tired. Go avoid it. Okay, I'll talk to her, Goku would say. No, not like that, Cronoa would say. What do you mean no? Goku would say. Bulma knows you. You can't talk to her. Besides, she's a very curious scientist who already used time travel, Cronoa would say. Talking to her about the consequences would be revealing the existence of the Time Palace. Erasing her memories won't be enough. At some point, something will make her want to try her experiments again. What do? I can't kill her, Goku would say. Of course you're not going to do that. Go talk to Beerus to ban him, Cronoa would say. After all, there is no problem with the gods. Okay, Goku would say. Goku would travel to that time just in the location of the planet of Beerus. The god of destruction and the angel were outside the castle. Goku, what are you doing here? Beerus would say. Oh, those clothes, Whis would say. Wow, I see that you did notice, Whis, Goku would say. What are you talking about? Beerus would say. This Goku is not ours. He's a guardian of space-time, Whis would say. Don't tell me there's something like that, Beerus would say. Yes, after a few attempts at creating timelines, the Time Palace was formed. We take care of the continuity of several timelines and prevent others from traveling in them, in addition to avoiding the creation of new timelines. Goku would say. Wow, I really congratulate you for your position, Beerus would say. But I have to ask for the reason of your visit. You have to prevent Bulma from creating a time machine, Goku would say. Goku would show from his bracelet an image where Bulma would be seen replicating the time machine in which Trunks of the future arrived. I think he hasn't learned anything from what happened to him, Beerus would say. I should disappear her. No, not that, Goku would say. Just go and tell him not to do it. If he does, you disappear her. I need Bulma to stay alive. Why? Beerus would seriously ask. Mr. Beerus, it is not correct to ask that, Whis would say. The issues of the space-time guardians are more serious than they think. Okay, Beerus would say. Goku would take Beerus and Whis, and with the teleportation, he would leave them behind Bulma. At the moment, Goku would leave there. What are you doing here? Terrified Bulma would say. That's what I came to ask you, Beerus would seriously say. Well, I'm just working. nervous Bulma would say, since she knew that what she was doing was wrong. You know that time travel is prohibited, but I see that you have not understood, Beerus would seriously say. Bulma had an English key in her hand that she used as a tool. Beerus would touch the key with the tip of his claw and it would disappear completely by Hawkeye's energy. You go back to work on a time machine and I will not only disappear you, but also the Earth, Beerus would say. Yes, I'm sorry, Bulma would say. Chronoa would see everything from the Palace of Time. Heavens, at least everything went well, Chronoa would say. Suddenly, someone would hold Chronoa from behind, covering his mouth. Chronoa would try to free himself, but the force of the mysterious subject was too much. Then he would go slowly closing his eyes. Chronoa would lose consciousness. Minutes later, we see Bulwis and Beerus somewhere in Earth along with Goku. Everything is ready, Beerus would say. Anyway, we will be aware of any attempt to travel in time. I thank you very much, Goku would say. I would take you back to your planet, but I don't have anyone's reference key. No problem, we will travel as usual, Whis would say. Okay, bye, Goku would say, when returning to the Palace of Time. There, Goku would look for Chronoa everywhere, but he would not see her anywhere. Where did he go? Goku would say. Goku would call Chronoa, but he would not answer. Then he would realize that on the ground there was one of his Popora. One moment. She would never let one of his Popora fall, Goku would say disconcerted. Someone must have attacked her, Goku would finish saying, very thoughtful when thinking about what could have happened to Chronoa. Goku would look for Chronoa's trail throughout the Palace of Time to make sure that his absence was not for any enemy action. But he would not find her. Damn it, and now how do I do it? Goku would say. I would close my eyes and focus on looking for Chronoa. But no matter how much I looked, I could not track her key anywhere. This can't be happening, Goku would say. She would never leave this place without an explanation. Goku would leave there and go to the planet of Senno-sama. He would logically go to the one that would correspond to him at the time. There were both Kings of Everything and Grand Priest. He would explain to them what had happened and would give Grand Priest the Popora he had found. Wow, it doesn't seem like an easy situation to solve, Grand Priest would say. Chronoa has to show up. Her position is important, a Senno-sama would say. Yes, anyone who has done this must pay, the other Senno-sama would say. I know, but no matter how hard I try to track her, I can't find her. I'm afraid something happened to her, Goku would say. I will collaborate with you in this search. Is there anything that I have noticed, strange, that can give us information? Grand Priest would say. Now that you say it, I had to do 2 missions at the same time, Goku would say. Goku would use his bracelet to show him the images of Babidi and Bulma. It's not very common for 2 attempts at alterations in such a short time to be recorded, Goku would say. What if someone generated a distraction? It's very likely, Grand Priest would say. Your Majesty, if you excuse me, I will go through the universes and relevant points. In this way, Grand Priest and Goku would split into 12 universes in search of Chronoa. On the other hand, the Kaioshin of Time would awake. She was dizzy, sin really knowing what was happening. She would try to move, but she was tied to a chair and very weakened. What is this? Chronoa would say when trying to get out, but she couldn't. Chronoa would try to raise her ki, but she was really weakened. Damn it! It's like someone absorbed my powers, Chronoa would say. Then she would see someone hooded in front of her. Who are you? Chronoa would say, terrified. I see that you finally wake up, the unknown voice would say, although it would feel distorted. I want you to give me your power. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just a Kaioshin of Time. You say it with a humility that is annoying, the subject would say. I want precisely your powers as a Kaioshin of Time. I would never give them to you. Besides, even if I wanted to, I couldn't, Chronoa would say. It's time to go. I hope what happened to you today makes you reflect, the subject would say, and it would fade as if by magic. Then a strange crack would be seen in the nothingness, as if reality was breaking. This crack would explode, falling several pieces of glass. Grand Priest would be seen on the other side. Wow, it really cost me to break this, Grand Priest would say. What's going on? Chronoa would say. Goku would arrive right away. Chronoa, what are you doing here? Goku would say. It seems that someone created this mini-reality, like a kind of jail, Grand Priest would say. Goku would help Cronoa get rid of the chair. He would untie the rope, noticing something strange in it. "Hey, this seems magical," Goku would say. "Yes, I cancelled my ki," Cronoa would say. Cronoa would fade. She couldn't stand up. Goku would help her right away. "Hey, are you okay?" Goku would ask. "Yes, I'm very tired," Cronoa would say. Then she would close her eyes, being unconscious. "Did they do something to her?" Goku would say when he took her in his arms. "I think the best thing will be to take her from here to rest," Grand Priest would say. Moments later, we see Goku and Grand Priest with Cronoa on the planet of Xeno. The kings of everything were there, waiting for Cronoa to wake up. Finally, he would do it, although he still felt very tired. "Come on! Finally! Wake up!" Goku would say. "What happened?" Cronoa would say. "Heavens, I feel very bad." "Miss Cronoa, it seems that someone drained a lot of his energy," Grand Priest would say. "Then I will recover it," Cronoa would say. "It's very bad," a Xeno would say. "Yes, it's very bad," another Xeno would say. Cronoa would try to get up, but as soon as she got in, her body would end up winning. "I'm sorry to tell you that she won't be able to exercise in that state," Grand Priest would say. "It's very dangerous for you." "But I can't leave my functions," Cronoa would say. "We will look for a replacement. Don't worry about that," Grand Priest would say. "A replacement? But who?" Cronoa would say. "I guess Eos," Grand Priest would say. "No, anyone but her," Cronoa would say. "What happens to her?" Goku would say. "Oh, it's the previous Kaioshin of time. It was given low for low performance, but I suppose we can trust her in the meantime," Grand Priest would say. Cronoa would feel a strong pain in her stomach, as if something was overwhelming her. "What's wrong with you?" Goku would say, worried. A sector of Cronoa's skin would turn purple as if something was affecting her. "I think something is affecting her. Surely it must be because of that mysterious attack," Grand Priest would say. "I'll find out who did this and I'll make him pay," Goku would say. "I'll go look for Eos in the meantime," Grand Priest would say. "Anyway, Mr. Goku, you must meet her, as she will be your Kaioshin of time." "I understand," Goku would say. Grand Priest would take Cronoa from him. The other already had him before. "If you'll excuse me, I'll have to give them to him now," Grand Priest would say. "Go ahead," Cronoa would say. Grand Priest and Goku would go look for Eos to ask him to take Cronoa's place. "Wow, so after they kick me out, they ask me for it," Eos would say. "We understand that he can't like it, but I remind you that without a Kaioshin of time, things would not work in reality," Grand Priest would say. "Okay, I guess I have no choice," Eos would say. Grand Priest would give the clay to Eos and she would put them on him. "I wish you good luck. This will only be temporary," Grand Priest would say. "After Cronoa regains his functions, we will reward her well." "There's something I don't like here," Goku would say. "Seriously, You must be a space-time guardian, if I'm not mistaken, Eos would say. I'm Goku, Goku would say to the defense. Grand Priest would notice Goku's attitude. Mr. Goku, is something wrong? Grand Priest would say. No, nothing, Goku would say. Now that we've met, I have to patrol, Eos would say. Remember that you can call me in case of any problem. Of course, I'll keep that in mind. I'll go straight to the Time Palace, Eos would say. Goku would get out of there as soon as possible while he was looking for a way to help Kronoa. The more time passed, the worse she felt. She would be under Grand Priest's protection, although he wasn't sure what was happening. Moments later, Goku still couldn't find any clue of what was happening to Kronoa, and much less of who was his attacker. At that moment, he would receive a call from Eos. Goku, I need you here, Eos would say. What's going on? He would ask Goku to the defense. Someone is trying to change the time a lot in the past, Eos would say. I'm going there, Goku would say. Goku would get to the Time Temple to receive the directives. Although he wasn't very happy to work for Eos, something about her caught his attention. He could already feel it in his tricky look. Tell me, what's going on? Goku would say. Hey, I feel like we started with the left foot. Did I do something that would bother you? Eos would say. To begin with, I don't trust you, Goku would say. I hope you have nothing to do with what is happening to Kronoa. That we are not friends doesn't mean that I have done anything to him, Eos would say. It would be very stupid of me to expose myself that way, Goku would say. To divert the subject, Eos would show him an image of Frieza. Here's the problem, Eos would say. It can't be. What time is he coming from? Goku would say, disconcerted. I don't know, but he traveled a lot in the past. Something must be looking, Eos would say. That bastard is on Earth, Goku would say. As soon as he puts his hands on him, he'll realize that he was wrong in planning whatever he's doing. Goku would travel there as soon as possible, getting in the way of Frieza. Frieza, what are you doing here? Goku, furious, would say. Goku, what are you doing here? Frieza would ask. I asked first, Goku would say. I think I'll have to fix this for the bad guys. I can't allow you to change anything in time. Goku would raise his ki and reach Frieza with a strong punch. But the evil Emperor would hold his attack as if nothing. It's not true, Goku would say, disconcerted. Did you think I would stay like this without doing anything? Frieza would say with a devilish smile. I don't know what time you think I am, but I can tell you that you miss a lot. Frieza would hit Goku in the chest, throwing him several meters away. Goku would be really hurt, but even so, he knew he couldn't give up. Damned bastard, you'll see, Goku would say. Goku would raise his ki until he transformed into Super Saiyan Blue. He would throw everything at Frieza, attacking him with everything. Between them, they would fight intensely, exchanging blows at high speed. They seemed to be equal in power, but the truth is that Frieza was not really fighting seriously. At one point, they would clash their fists with each other, causing a great stammer.
Then he would take distance.
Wow, not bad. But I see I'll have to fight seriously, Frieza would say. Fight seriously? Goku would say, terrified. Frieza would raise his ki until he transformed into Golden Frieza. His great power would leave Goku disconcerted, since he did not expect Frieza to achieve such a level. Wow, I've left you speechless, Frieza would say, making fun of Goku. You are a bastard. Surely you came from the future, Goku would say. Goku would throw himself again at Frieza, but he would dodge his attack as if nothing. Then Goku would attack Frieza with a series of punches, but Frieza dodged all the attacks just like that. It can't be true. It's too fast, Goku would think. Frieza would kick Goku at one point, throwing him several meters away. Goku would stay on the ground. It would cost him to get up. When he tried to stand up, he would fall again, since he had several broken ribs. Oh, I think I already broke it, Frieza would say with laughter. Come on, stand up so I can enjoy this. Goku would stand up as best he could. Damn, this guy is really strong, Goku would say. Come on, don't waste my time. Fight and that's it, Frieza would say. Frieza would throw a ki laser at Goku. This would receive the direct impact on his knee. Damn, Goku would say. Don't worry, I have many more for you, Frieza would say. You don't know the desires I have to make you suffer. Frieza would reach Goku with a strong kick in his stomach. Then he would attack him with a series of consecutive blows without rest. Goku could barely defend himself from the great power that Frieza wielded. He felt that he was in serious trouble. In a moment, he would give him a strong knee under the ribs that would leave him hunched. And then with a hook, he would knock him down. Goku would fall to the ground, injured. But even so, he was not willing to give up. Don't think you'll get away with this, Frieza would say. Frieza would throw a ki ball at Goku, but another energy ball would hit her from the side, making her explode. Vegeta had arrived just in time to save Goku. Vegeta, Goku would say amazed. Ha! If this insect hadn't arrived, I would have finished you, Vegeta would say. Wow, you really are an intruder. But it doesn't matter, I'll kill them both, Frieza would scream, very angry with the Saiyans. Vegeta would arrive just in time to help Goku. I'm glad you're here, Goku would say. We found out that you were in trouble, and when I saw that it was Frieza, I couldn't help but come to give him what he deserved, Vegeta would say. I guess you two can't be apart, Frieza would say, upset. Kakarot, Vegeta would say. Vegeta, Goku would say. Goku and Vegeta would raise their ki to the maximum, transforming into Super Saiyan Blue. Both would throw everything at Frieza. Between the three, they would start having an epic fight. Eos, at that moment, observed everything from the Time Palace. Who made it easy for Frieza to travel in time? Eos would say. Despite the suspicions, Eos didn't seem to be involved in the matter. On the other hand, Jiren would arrive at the Time Palace. Hey, who are you? Eos would say. Jiren would walk slowly towards Eos, threatening her with his presence. Hey, I'm talking to you, Eos would say. Eos would throw a ki ball at Jiren, but when it hit, it wouldn't do him the slightest damage. Then he would notice an M marked on his forehead. It was the mark Jiren had. He was being controlled by the powers of Babidi. I know that mark, Eos would say. Eos would point at Jiren. This would be covered with energy that would act as a barrier. Jiren would take difficult steps, but he could keep moving forward. Eos would make a great effort to maintain her technique, but Jiren would manage to destroy it by expanding his ki. It can't be true, Eos would say, terrified. Jiren would suddenly throw everything at Eos, but he would fall to the ground when receiving a blow. Jiren was passed out on the floor. Eos didn't understand anything. "What's going on?" Eos would say. "Don't worry, everything is fine." Grand Priest would say that he was the one who saved her. "Grand Priest," Eos would say. "It looks like someone is plotting something with time," Grand Priest would say. "He's just trying to create distractions," Grand Priest would say. He pointed to Jiren, and with his powers he would remove the M, releasing him from Babbidi's control. Then he would return to the planet of Senoshima. He would see Cronoa while she was agonizing. That violet energy continued to spread while she complained. Cronoa was sweating and had a shaky breath. The kings of everything and the guardians were guarding her. "If this continues, she will die," a Senoshima would say. "Yes, if this continues, she will die," the other Senoshima would say. "As we expected, someone else attacked Eos, so we can rule out that this is a plan of his," Grand Priest would say. "It seems that the magician Babbidi has controlled Jiren to attack her. He could disappear if he's in this timeline," a Senoshima would say. "Yes, but we don't know what timeline it is," the other Senoshima would say. Cronoa would start screaming in pain. The spots on her skin continued to expand. Meanwhile, Goku and Vegeta continued with their fight against Frieza. Little by little, they managed to get an advantage, although it was a really close encounter. Frieza at one point would create a great ball of ki, and he would throw it at both Saiyans. The two would hold it, making a great effort to retain it. "Vegeta, cover me!" Goku would say. "What?" Vegeta would say. Goku would disappear with the teleportation. Vegeta should only hold the ball of ki, making an extra effort. Goku was behind Frieza and would knock him down with a ki attack. Frieza would fall to the ground, losing his golden form. Vegeta would deflect Frieza's attack, but losing the Super Saiyan Blue for the energy expenditure. "Cover me! Cover me!" Goku would say, preparing his Kamehameha to finish off Frieza. Frieza would throw a ki laser at Goku, piercing his shoulder. Goku would scream in pain, interrupting his attack. "Kakarot, you idiot!" Vegeta would say. "I'm already tired of having fought against you. Separately, I would have eliminated you a long time ago," Frieza would say. Goku could not move his arm. The wound on his shoulder did not allow it. "Heavens, I got distracted," Goku would say. Frieza would throw a ki attack at Goku, knocking him down. He would fall to the ground, losing his transformation. Vegeta was alone to continue fighting. "Very well, now I will take care of you," Frieza would say, annoyed. "I don't believe that," Vegeta would say. Vegeta would take out of his pocket a small golden ornament which he would place on his ear. "I've seen that before," Frieza would say. "It can't be!" Vegeta would begin to increase his ki at great levels. Frieza did not want to give him any advantage. Vegeta would arrive with a strong blow in his stomach, but at the time of the impact, he would do nothing. Then Frieza's fist would begin to disintegrate due to the Hawkeye energy. "Vegeta!" Goku would say, upset when standing. "And now what do you want?" Vegeta would say. "Why didn't you do that at the beginning?" Goku would say. "Because that's not funny," Vegeta would say. Moments later, we see Goku arrive at the planet of Xeno. He was still badly wounded, but he needed to know how Cronoa was. "It can't be. He's still in bad shape," Goku would say. "Mr. Goku, look at yourself," Grand Priest would say. Goku's shoulder was still bleeding. "He's going to dry up if he keeps losing more blood," Xeno would say. "Yes, he's going to dry up," the other Xeno would say. "I know, I was a little complicated," Goku would say.
Grand Priest, can you heal me? Grand Priest would heal Goku in an instant. Wow, like new, Goku would say. Goku would approach Cronoa. She wouldn't stop complaining. It can't be. If he's still like this, he won't survive, Goku would say. Eos Whis would appear. What are you doing here? Goku would say. We managed to find the cure, Whis would say. Wait, I don't trust you, Goku would say. But I do, Whis would say. Whis would take out a small bottle and give it to Cronoa to drink. Little by little, the purple spots on his body would disappear. Cronoa would open her eyes. She seemed to recover. At least she wasn't agonizing anymore. What happened? Cronoa would say. She must thank Mrs. Eos, Whis would say. Eos would observe to one side, dodging Cronoa's gaze. What are you talking about? Goku would say, confused. It turns out that Mrs. Eos found some of the books that Cronoa was burning, and in them she found the reason for his illness. It was with which we made an antidote, Whis would say. So, did you help me? Cronoa would say. Don't get confused. I only did it to get back to home, Eos would say. Wait, those books were from Babidi, Goku would say. Yes, he was burning them, Cronoa would say. That means that Babidi was behind this. Of course he was. He manipulated Jiren to attack me. If it weren't for the Grand Priest, she would be dead, Eos would say. It is clearly Babidi who is behind all this, Whis would say. It doesn't make sense if Cronoa erased his memory, Goku would say. I think I'll have to go look for him, if it's about Babidi himself and not someone else, Grand Priest would say. Of course, 2 time travel attempts, Cronoa would say. Surely he made that attempt along with the Bulma event to take us by surprise, but surely he didn't count on me to take your place, Eos would say. Cronoa, Goku would say. Yes, let's go, Cronoa would say. Cronoa would realize that he didn't have the clay. At that moment, Eos would take them off to give them back to him. Here, I didn't want to use them anymore, Eos would say. Thank you for everything, Cronoa would say. Goku, let's go see Babidi. But wouldn't it be better if you stayed in the Time Palace? Goku would say. No, after all, if I stayed alone I could be attacked again, Cronoa would say. At least with you I'll know what's going on. I just ask you to be careful, Grand Priest would say. Okay, this time we'll take Babidi's life so he won't have problems again, Goku would say. Goku and Cronoa would go to Babidi's lab in that timeline they attended before, while Vegeta was meditating on the planet of Beelzebub. The god of destruction was attentive to him since he knew he had destroyed that Frieza from another timeline. Whis would return from the planet of Zeno. Mr. Beelzy, does something happen? Whis would say. Watch Vegeta's ear, Whis would say. Whis would realize that he had that jewel that a god of destruction used. Wow, and it looks like he hasn't taken it off yet, Whis would say. I don't know about you, but in my opinion, I think it's ready, Whis would say. He just used destruction on Frieza. Then he can leave it to him when he wants, Whis would say. Yes, I think I'll do that. Goku and Cronoa would investigate Babidi's lab in that timeline they attended before. While Vegeta was meditating on the planet of Beelzebub, the god of destruction was attentive to him, since he knew he had destroyed that Frieza from another timeline. Whis would return from the planet of Zeno. Mr. Beelzy, does something happen? Whis would say. Watch Vegeta's ear, Whis would say. Whis would realize that he had that jewel that a god of destruction used. Wow! And it looks like he hasn't taken it off yet, Whis would say. I don't know about you, but in my opinion, I think it's ready, Whis would say. He just used destruction on Frieza.
Then he can leave it to him when he wants. Whis would say, "Yes, I think I'll do that." Goku and Klonoa would investigate Babbidi's lab but wouldn't find anything relevant. "I can't believe it. The best thing would have been to eliminate him," Klonoa would say. "That idiot Babbidi thinks he can get away with it," Goku would say. Suddenly, Goku would throw himself at Klonoa, throwing her to the ground. He had saved her from a ki attack. "What's happening?" Klonoa would say. "They're attacking us," Goku would say. Both would stand up watching Broly in front of them, but this Broly had an M on his forehead. "It can't be," Klonoa would say. "This is wrong," Goku would say. Broly would open his mouth, throwing a big ki ray. Goku would transform into Super Saiyan Blue, holding the attack with all his power. Terrified, Klonoa would stay behind Goku. "Goku, this is too much," Klonoa would say. "That's what I realized," Goku would say. Broly would stop his attack. Goku could rest for a moment. It was hard for him to breathe because of the effort he had made. Then Broly would throw himself like a torpedo at Goku, hitting him. Goku and Broly would leave that lab while they started fighting. "I can't believe it. Fabia is recruiting the most powerful beings of all the Saiyanas of time," disconcerted, Klonoa would say. In a moment, Klonoa would move to one side. A sense of guard would alert her. A hooded guy was on the lookout. "Wow, I see that now you're attentive," the guy would say. Klonoa would join her hands, throwing a ki attack. The guy would reject the attack with a ki cut from his hand. Seeing the green skin hand and that technique, Klonoa would realize who it was. "It can't be! It's you, Zamasu!" Klonoa would say. Zamasu would take off his hood, showing himself. "Indeed, it's me," Zamasu would say. "You don't know how stupid I felt when I discovered that there was the position of Kaioshin in the time. You're a bastard. You're responsible for all this," Klonoa would say out loud. "Actually, no," the Beady would say when showing himself. "The Beady?" Klonoa would say. "We have joined forces to achieve our goal," the Beady would say. "Get rid of the gods and destroy the mortals," Zamasu would say. Klonoa would get on guard, ready to fight. Goku would realize the presence of Zamasu and Babidi, but he couldn't do anything about it since Broly was on his way. "Damn, I can't leave her alone," Goku would say. Goku and Klonoa would be surrounded by their enemies. "Enough! It would be better if you leave me alone," Goku would say. Broly not only didn't stop, but he was also totally out of his mind. He didn't react to Goku's words since Babidi's control was too powerful. Goku would scream by exploding his ki to the maximum. Goku would manage to get rid of Broly, and then he would give him a strong kick in his stomach, while the Titan would receive the full attack. Then he would hold him by the ankle, and he would start to spin in circles to throw Goku far away. Goku would impact strongly against the ground. Then Broly would throw himself on him, but Goku would move aside just in time, getting rid of being crushed. "Damn, that was close," Goku would say. On the other hand, Zamasu would throw himself to Klonoa to catch her. Klonoa would try to defend herself, but Zamasu's level was much higher. Zamasu would easily dodge each of his attacks. At one point, Zamasu would kick Klonoa, moving her several meters away. Then he would throw him a ki beam. Klonoa would cross her arms to resist the impact. Even so, it would be too powerful, so she would fall several meters away, being stunned. After that, Zamasu would get to one side of her. "Remember that you can't kill her. We need her alive," Babidi would say. "I already have it clear. I don't need you to remind me," Zamasu would say. Klonoa would try to stand up, but she was not in condition. Zamasu would prepare a ki attack to leave her totally out of attack. but Eos would arrive with a flying kick, throwing Zamasu far away. "What is she doing here?" furious Babidi would say. "Eos," Goku would say, realizing his presence. But in that distraction, he would receive a fist bump from Broly. "What are you doing here?" unconcerned Kranoa would say, since she and Eos were not friends. "It's very simple. I don't want you to die. Otherwise, I will return to your position," Eos would say. "Damn Grenusia, there shouldn't be another Kaioshin of the time," Babidi would say. "This insolence was the one that delayed our plans," Zamasu would say. "But I can eliminate her." Zamasu would create a keyblade in his hand, and he would throw it everything at Eos. But Kranoa would stand in front of her. He would hold the keyblade between the palms of his hands. "If you're going to help me, try to be attentive to the fight," Kranoa would say. Eos would point up, generating a large key ball. This would shoot lightning at Zamasu. Zamasu should dodge the attacks by moving from side to side, until the key ball would be completely consumed. At that moment, Kranoa would advance towards Zamasu, throwing him away from a kick. Then Eos and Kranoa would launch together towards Zamasu. They would begin to attack him in a coordinated way. Zamasu was in big trouble, since it was difficult for him to fight two opponents at the same time. "Zamasu, don't be stupid. You shouldn't be in this situation," Babidi would say. "If you only helped instead of criticizing, this would be easier," Zamasu would say. "Idiot! I'm a wizard, not a warrior," Babidi furious would say. Goku still had problems against Broly. Both fought in a very even way. At least, with the presence of Eos, he could be a little calmer. "Damn, if I don't do something, these fools will get away with it," Goku would say. "One moment," Goku would say, realizing something. Goku would take distance from Broly and go straight to Babidi. "No, it can't be," Babidi, terrified, would say. Broly would go ahead of Goku and connect a knee in his stomach. Goku would cough blood without being able to move. "Damn, don't let me get to him," Goku would say. Zamasu, with a ki attack, would knock down Kranoa and Eos. Both would fall to the ground, but would get up right away. The two were exhausted by the fight they had, but Zamasu looked like nothing. "He must be immortal, that's why he never gets tired," Kranoa would say. "That makes sense," Eos would say. "Now cover me. I think there's something I can do." "What?" Kranoa would say. Eos would throw himself towards Zamasu, while Kranoa would attack him with several ki rays, one after the other. Zamasu would cross his arms, resisting the attacks. Eos would advance towards Zamasu, but at one point he would stand behind him. Eos would create a ki wall behind Zamasu. "What is he doing?" Zamasu would say. Then Eos would move to each side of Zamasu, creating other ki walls. In one movement, he would start to crush them. Zamasu was trapped in a ki cube that acted as a jail. "Don't think you can stop me with this," Zamasu would say. "Of course," Eos would say. Eos would join his hands and the cube would start to shrink. Strangely, Zamasu would also do it until he was smaller than the palm of a hand. "That's not true," Babidi would say. "I didn't know he could do that," Kranoa would say. Zamasu would increase his ki, trying to free himself from the ki cube. He would tremble as he managed to resist it. "I don't think it will last long," Kranoa would say. "It's not forever. I just need a moment," Eos would say. Eos would observe Babidi. The magician would start to go back scared. "Hey, don't you dare come near me," Babidi would say. Eos would reach Babidi and attack him with the edge of his hand, slicing his head. Despite that, Babidi would still be alive, although he was agonizing. At that moment, Goku and Broly were struggling, but Broly would lose the mark of the M and would stop being under the demon of Babidi. Little by little, he would calm down.
"What's going on?" Broly would say, confused. "Broly, you regained consciousness," Goku would say. "What happened?" Broly would say. Goku and Broly would get closer to the situation. Zamasu would stop insisting on escaping when he noticed that everything had gone wrong. "Damn, that magician is a fool," Zamasu would say. "Don't think I'll let you get away with this," Babidi would say, furious. "There's nothing you can do," Eos would say when he pointed to Babidi. "Wait," Kranoa would say. Eos, with a ki attack, would completely disappear to Babidi. "You didn't have to do that," Kranoa would say. "Of course I did. Look at all the problems it caused," Eos would say. "But we needed that information," Kranoa would say. "Come on, it's not that bad," Eos would say. "Eos is right," Goku would say. "We left him alive once and we almost didn't tell him. They used a lot of powerful warriors, so it was for the best." "Well, looking at it from this side, I guess they're right," Kranoa would say. "As for you, I think I have something to do," Goku would say, when he took Zamasu in his arms. "Wait, what the hell do you want to do?" Zamasu would say, terrified. Broly would be taken to his timeline, while the rest would go to the planet of Xeno. Goku would take Zamasu to the kings of everything to deliver him. "It can't be. I'm lost," Zamasu would say. Zamasu would see the Xenos up close. They looked giant in front of their small size. "I remember, I disappeared it with a universe," one of the Xenos would say. "I think they have to play," Goku would say, laughing. One of the Xenos would take Zamasu and throw him to the other. So they would be playing with him for several minutes. "Wow, in the end, everything turned out well from what I see." That's right. Babidi was trying to get fighters from all timelines. He was working with Zamasu. Fortunately, we managed to solve it. Babidi was already destroyed. "It's good that everything turned out well," Grand Priest would say. "Miss Eos, I have to thank you for everything. Despite not having more responsibilities on the subject, it was very helpful." "It's nothing. It was a pleasure to help," Eos would say. Everything would go in order with the timelines intact. Both Xenos would continue to play with Zamasu until they would get bored. Finally, they would end up disappearing when they wouldn't be entertained anymore. On the other hand, Goku would reach the planet of beans. Vegeta would be wearing the clothing corresponding to a god of destruction. "Vegeta, you are a god, and I have surpassed you. So, if you want to fight, first train and get stronger."
I would tell you to fight, but after what you did with Frieza, you dazzled me, Goku would say. "You are incredibly strong. Let's hope Mr. Vegeta is a good god of destruction," Whis would say. "At least we know he doesn't sleep that much." "Hey, what are you trying to say with that?" Beerus would say. "Nothing, it was just a joke," Whis would say. "Vegeta, let me congratulate you," Goku would say. "Now, I have to go. I have to keep patrolling." Goku would return to his work. Kranoa would continue to control the timelines. To all this, Eos was in his home, remembering the adventure he had gone through. "Heavens, I hope I don't have to do something like that again," Eos would say. "I got used to having free time." Suddenly, a portal would open in front of Eos. There was Babidi with Zamasu. But this time it wasn't the same Zamasu from the first time. It was the Zamasu merged with black. "What is happening?" Eos would say, disconcerted. "You were supposed to be dead." "Poor girl, you only killed a part of me," Babidi would say. "The only thing I needed was to know who could occupy the position of Kaioshin of Time in the absence of Kranoa." "Wait a minute, all this was a trap," Eos, terrified, would say. "Of course, and you fell very easily," Babidi would say. "Zamasu, go get her." Zamasu would seriously observe Babidi. He didn't seem to be happy with him. "Hey, "What's wrong with you?" Babidi would say, confused. "I told you no one gives me orders," Zamos would seriously say. "Even if you are a very powerful magician, you still are a mortal." "Anyway, we have a plan," Babidi would say, upset, although he also looked really nervous. Eos would raise his ki and try to escape. But in an instant, Zamos would be in front of her. "It's not true," Eos would say. Eos would launch a ki attack at short range, but after a big explosion, nothing would happen to Zamos. "Idiot, do you think you can against a supreme god?" Zamos would say. Zamos would knock Eos down with a single blow. She would fall hard, hitting the ground. The attack had been devastating. She could hardly move. "Damn Zamos," Eos would say. "Quick, before we get more attention," Zamos would say. Babidi would go for Eos. Eos would use his magic to turn her into a little blue gem. "Ready, it's done," Babidi would say. Babidi would take the gem and give it to Zamos. "So this is how the power of another living being is used," Zamos would say when looking at the gem. "All its essence is concentrated in that jewel," Babidi would say. "Now, you can benefit from its power." Zamos would place the gem in front of him. It would sink into him. Suddenly, Zamos's eyes would shine, and he would elevate his power to an unimaginable level. "What was that?" Goku would say, confused. "How strange. For a moment, I felt something bad happened." Zamos had just absorbed the powers of Eos. "It's incredible. The powers of someone who is Kaioshin of time are more beneficial than I expected," Zamos would say. Even if he wasn't the official Kaioshin of time, he was at the time. In addition, by causing Krinoa to be out, he took his place recently. That kept his essence of office, Babidi would say. "Now that I have this new power, nothing can stop me," Zamos would finish by saying, very excited. A new Zamos had been born. The fusion of two Zamos, one immortal, another with Goku's body, and also now with the power of a Kaioshin of time inside him. Babidi and Zamos's plans were going as planned. "Those fools think they killed me and only eliminated a copy of me," Babidi would say. "It's time to show them who rules." "First things first," Zamos would say. Zamos would begin to raise his ki. A strange aura would sprout from his body. All the timelines would begin to be affected. Each of the angels would feel the distortion in time. The kings of everything were on their planet, but Zamos of the future would begin to look transparent. "Hey, what's wrong with you?" Zeno the present would say. "Help, they're hurting me," Zeno of the future would say when finishing to disappear. "It can't be," Zeno the present would say, very sad. "This must be the result of some distortion in space-time," Grand Priest would say. "That's why the other Zeno disappeared. He must have returned to his time." Goku would notice something strange in the timelines, and he would go to the Palace of Time as soon as possible. When he arrived, he would see everything in ruins. "I don't understand. What is going on?" "Goku!" he would call Krinoa, but she looked very weak. "Krinoa!" Goku disconcerted would say. "Goku, something happened with time," Krinoa would say. "I felt something, but I don't understand," Goku would say. Grand Priest would arrive at the Palace of Time. "It seems that something disconnected the timelines," Grand Priest would say. "How is it possible?" Krinoa would say. "Grand Priest, what do you mean by that?" Goku would say. "Someone or something managed to cut any link between the timelines," Grand Priest would say. "That causes you not to be able to travel between them by any method.
What happened to Zeno of the future? Cronoa would say, he eventually returned to his future. Grand Priest would say, it can't be. Trunks and May? Goku, terrified, would say, they had to return to that future. They must be floating in the middle of space. Cronoa would say, at this point, they must have died out of nowhere. But how could this be possible? Goku would say. Cronoa would take a crystal ball and try to observe the other timelines, but it would be impossible. There is a lot of interference. The time palace would begin to tremble. It would immediately fall into pieces. It can't be the time palace. Our friends would get out of there. The time palace would end up collapsing completely. I don't understand. This is worse than I thought. Without connection in the lines of time, the palace loses coherence by itself. Grand Priest would observe his hands. He would notice how they would begin to evaporate. Grand Priest, Goku would say, sadly. Goku would go through the same. We are evaporating, Goku would say. The disconnection between the lines of time is doing its job, Grand Priest would say. Only the line of Mother Time will exist. I feel good, Cronoa would say. It's logical. You are outside the lines of time, Grand Priest would say. Even if you are like the Palace of Time, your power of Kaioshin of Time keeps you stable. Grand Priest would begin to look more transparent, although the effect on Goku was slower. This depends on the two of you, Grand Priest would say when disappearing completely. Grand Priest, Goku would say, sadly. Cronoa would say when taking off an earring, put it on the same ear as me. Goku would put on the earring and stop disappearing. If the Oso saved me, Goku would say, I have to find the reason for all this, Cronoa would say. Cronoa would close her eyes and begin to meditate. It would cost her a lot to see the other timelines. Suddenly, they would be in the middle of nowhere. Everything had disappeared. It can't be, Goku would say. The timeline in which we are disappeared, Cronoa would say.
Goku and Cronoa would manage to reach the Mother Timeline, where Universe 7 no longer existed, and the gods of destruction and Kaioshins had died by the work of that Zamos whom our friends faced. Even so, this version of Zamos remained as the most powerful of all. Now that there is only one timeline, nothing can stop you, Babidi would say. It's true. All that remains is to disappear all the mortals and start over, Zamos would say. Goku and Cronoa would reach the place where Zamos and Babidi were. Goku, you were supposed to have disappeared, Zamos would say. Zamos would notice the piglet in Goku. I see. I'll have to get rid of it, Zamos would say. What did you do? Goku would say. Eos, Cronoa would say. What do you mean? Goku would say. Cronoa would say. Goku would say. Zamos absorbed Eos. It's the timeline of time, Cronoa would say. Let's say I didn't do it for myself, Zamos would say. All this work was thanks to my research on the consequences of manipulating time, Babidi would say. You fools just did what we wanted you to do. You're a bastard, Cronoa would say. That disease that almost kills you was our idea, Zamos would say. We needed Eos to be Kaioshin of time momentarily to use it. You didn't do what we wanted. Cronoa burned all my books, and they didn't realize that we left others with the cure. They were the ones who used Whis to save her, Babidi would say. You're really fools. Even the angels fell. Goku would look really angry. Zuki would start to lose control. You're bastards, Goku would say. Goku would transform into Super Saiyan Blue by expelling Zuki to the max.
He would throw everything at Zamos. He would use his fist, but by doing so, Zamos would hold the attack like nothing. "It's not possible," Goku would say. "The power difference between you and me is too much," Zamos would say. Zamos, with a ki attack, would throw Goku far away. He would be really hurt. Goku could barely move. His uniform was really destroyed. "It can't be that he did this to me with just one attack," Goku would say. He would call Kronoa. "Nothing or no one can defeat me," Zamos would say. "Not even Zeno-sama can do it, because he already tried it and his technique didn't work on me." "I don't care what you say. I won't give up," Goku would say. Goku would expel all his power without caring about anything. He would throw everything at Zamos again. He would come with a rain of punches. Zamos would hold each attack like nothing. "I can't believe it," Goku would say. "I can't understand it," Zamos would say. Zamos would hold Goku by the neck. He would squeeze him with force without letting him breathe. Goku would do his best to try to free himself, but it would be impossible. "It can't be. Zamos is incredibly strong," Kronoa would say. Goku would lose his transformation. "It's over," Zamos would say. Zamos would take Goku's saucer and throw him far away. Goku would hit the ground and say, "We won," Babidi would say. "Goku, are you okay?" Kronoa would say. "I failed you," Goku would say. "You didn't do it, and you won't do it," Kronoa would say. Kronoa would put his hand on Goku's face and let a tear fall on him. "What a touching moment," Babidi would say. "This is so pathetic," Zamos would say. "This is so sad." Then that energy would melt in Goku, regenerating each of his wounds. "This," Goku would say without understanding it. Zamos would launch his attack, seeing that something was happening. Goku would dodge it instantly. "It's not possible," Babidi would say. Goku would appear behind them. He could notice it with a special energy that surrounded him. Something in him was totally different. "Damn, Kronoa, he's part of you," Zamos would say. Goku would say, "And I will not let his sacrifice be in vain." Goku would begin to raise his power to great levels. In an instant, Zamos would arrive with a strong fist blow to his stomach, which would leave him hunched. "It's not true," Babidi would say. Then Goku would point at Babidi, and with a single ray of ki, he would completely disintegrate him. "Now, yes, we are alone, you and me," Goku would say. Zamos would throw Goku far away. He would take distance. "Disgusting worm. It doesn't matter how many tricks you use. I am a god, and you will always be immortal," Zamos would say. Zamos would begin to raise his ki to a great level, but Goku would not stay behind. Goku would close his eyes and breathe deep. By concentrating his energy, it would manifest with more intensity until his hair would turn white. "Bastard," Zamos would say between teeth. In an instant, Goku was in front of Zamos. Both would throw a fist blow, colliding their blows with each other. At first glance, they seemed to be at the same level. "Damn worm, I'll finish you," Zamos would say. Goku and Zamos would begin to exchange blows at high speed while moving everywhere. In an instant, both would take distance from each other while they were studying. "Zamos, I will defeat you and free Io so that all the timelines return to normal," Goku would say. "Idiot, the timelines disappeared. There's nothing you can do," Zamos would say. "I don't care about your words. I will do what I have to do, even if it sounds impossible," Goku would say. Goku would throw everything at Zamos. He would come with a kick to his chest. Zamos would come out fired several meters away. Then Goku would reach him from behind to attack him. But before he could do anything, Zamos would turn and attack him with a ki ball. Goku would cross his arms, resisting the attack and managing to reject it. "It doesn't matter how much power you have. You can never beat me," Zamos would say. "How dare you say that?
"You're using my body and the essence of Eos," Goku would say. "Shut up," Zamasu would say. Zamasu would throw a great ki attack at Goku. He would dodge it, and Zamasu would come with a kick under his chin. Zamasu would move a few meters back, but he would throw Goku again with a blow to his chest. Goku would cough blood, although he would respond with a blow to his face.
Then, Samus would throw a punch, but Goku would crouch just in time, responding with a punch to his stomach. The moment Samus loses his guard, Goku would attack him with a ki ball at close range, throwing him away. "I will take away Eos so that you lose control over time," Goku would say. "I no longer have control over time. There is only a timeline," Samus would say. "Better shut up," Goku would say. Goku would take his hands back, preparing a great Kamehameha. Samus would do something similar, preparing a power technique of the same volume. Both would execute their attacks on each other. "I will disappear you," Samus would say. "That will not happen," Goku would say. Both would give everything in that attack, since there the fate of all realities would be decided. What will happen now that Goku and Samus fight to death? Can Goku save Eos and restore the timelines? And even more important, what will be of the timelines that disappeared? All that we will know in the next part of this theory. And well, friends, I hope you liked the movie. Remember that if you want to see more parts and another movie of this incredible theory of Goku the Guardian of Time and Space, this video has to reach 150 likes, many comments, and subscribe for more theories. See you in the next part.